Él es mi hijo Gerson.
This is my son Gerson. He was 19 and studied architecture.
Marisela Orozco's mantelpiece is in fact a shrine to her two murdered sons, a place where she can at least keep their ashes close to her. 3 years ago, the eldest, Gerson, was kidnapped.
Tenía escasos 15 años cuando...
A few hours later, 15-year-old Alan, a football player, was murdered along with his brother-in-law in Veracruz, where they used to live. Even though the family paid the ransom to get Gerson back, he was never returned. Eventually, the remains of Marisela's eldest son were found in a mass grave, along with 190 other missing people.
Y yo vivía con la esperanza de...
I thought one day I would find Gerson. The only thing I have of him now is his skull and a piece of hip and leg, because those monsters chopped them all to pieces.
There's no peace for the families of the more than 30,000 Mexicans who were murdered last year, and the equal number who are still missing, records that are expected to be surpassed this year. But there is another type of crime that is also destroying Mexico. This is what's left of a school that collapsed during last September's earthquake here in Mexico City. And these little angels represent the 19 children who were crushed to death when a structure that was built illegally by the school's owner fell on top of them. She had apparently paid off local officials to turn a blind eye to the building code. The victims' parents say that they died not because of the earthquake, but because of corruption, a phenomena that is spreading like a disease throughout Mexico, impacting almost every aspect of life. Which is why confronting crime, violence, and the widespread corruption that makes those things possible are the main issues for tens of millions of Mexicans as they choose a new president.
One has to pay the criminals so that they let you work in peace. Sometimes it's the police that demands bribes. Corruption is everywhere.
The NGO Mexicans Against Corruption and Impunity says that corruption costs the poorest 35% of their income, putting poverty and violence in a vicious circle.
And when you start hitting the economy with those levels of violence and those levels of corruption, of course nobody's gonna want to invest, and that's where you perpetuate and you have more inequality, more poverty, and of course more crime.
There's neither a silver bullet nor a presidential candidate with serious proposals to turn the tide. And yet, like millions of Mexicans, Marisela hasn't given up.
Pero digo, ahorita que viene el cambio de gobierno.
Now there will be a new government, which has the power to do more. We hope this time things will change.
After losing so much, hope, she reminds us, is the last thing you can lose. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Mexico City.